What are the first questions that you need to answer when you've bought some property and you're wanting to design and build a whole series of a house and a barn and a she shed and a pond and a driveway and make the whole thing feel cohesive and perform the way that you hope it will perform? Howdy y'all, I'm Jordan Smith. I'm a design builder with Smith House Company. We design and build houses out of Austin, Texas, and this property is called Monarch Woods. The owners are Texas master naturalists. They're really involved in nature. They love nature and they wanted a house that integrated with nature and they could also see nature really clearly through these huge expansive windows that we designed into the house. But before we designed any of that, it was all woods, just like you see behind me. The whole property was just covered in woods, and they knew they wanted another pond. There was a small pond on the property, but they knew they wanted a larger pond. They knew that they wanted to have great views. We know that the sun's flying over, and in Texas heat, I mean, it's 8 a.m. and I'm already sweating. We knew that we had to position the windows correctly so that the sun stayed out of the way. There was all kinds of questions that we had to ask and then answer to inform the design as we went. In today's episode, I'm going to run you through the site planning on Monarch Woods, what our thought processes were, how we accomplished some tricky things, and we'll walk from raw land all the way through where all the buildings are positioned and how they're designed. One of the first things that you have to consider when you're designing and building a house from scratch is where the sun flies overhead, where it rises, where it sets, where it's at its apex in both the winter and the summer, and then how the house is going to respond to that sunlight coming in. So we're here in Texas, 8 a.m. on June 24th, and I'm already sweating. But because it's June 24th, we're really close to the time of year where we're at the summer solstice. That means that the sun is at the highest point that it'll be all year. It's at the northernmost point. As we get later in the year, the sun at noon is going to fall back to the south. So I'm facing north, that's facing south, that way's east, that way's west. And even today, after about 9 or 9:30, this sun will completely go underneath that giant overhang that you see over my shoulder. This is a 15-foot overhang to the north and about a 8-foot overhang back to the east. So as soon as that morning sun comes up, we get the good light. They're in their kitchen, they're making coffee, they get to see the sunrise, and then boom, you're right into shade. And on the other side of the house, it's the dirty side of the house. It's the side of the house where we put our air conditioners, we have our vents coming out of the wall. All the stuff you don't really want to see is on that side of the house because that's the west side of the house, and that sun that bakes down onto the house in the late afternoon hits a solid mass of limestone and then insulation, and we're going to go into all of that on the Perfect Wall episode here in a few more releases, I guess you would say, over on the Build Show. But we'll talk about how we built that wall to resist that sun. This glass, it's good glass, it's a high efficiency glass, but it's not going to overcome a harsh Texas west sun. So when we were designing this lot, we said, okay, we know that we want this house facing north for the views, right? We could have put it on the other side, but if we put it on the other side, that south sun is going to hit those windows so harsh. So if we put it on the south and had it facing north, the sun flies behind the overhangs. And then we also thought about the creek that runs through here. How do we position the house so that when we build our pond on that drainage ditch, we're able to get the maximum amount of views without sacrificing the shading of our shade structure on these windows. Let's go check out the pond here and see how we did that.